AJ, TC, Mark, and Breck, you're out there behind the boards and handling things for us there. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at ATL Prime Sports, also on Instagram at ATL Prime Sports. Check us out there. Todd Quarter is at Quarter Todd, Cordertodd. That's TC. JJ, he's at JJ, the two letters, Get You One, GETCHUONE. JJGETCHUONE. I'm at ATL Traffic Lady, at Mancini Sports for Mark Mancini, at Stables Network for everybody. So you guys got to check us out on social media. We'll hit you up all week long, and we just like to talk sports the whole time and other stuff too. So please feel free, chime in anytime, again, on Twitter, or dial us up 678-280-7123 or 720-707-2699. That's our meeting ID is going to be 179-057-108. Meeting ID 179-057-108. Listen live and anytime on primetimewiththestablesnetwork.com. That's our website. So you got to check that out too. So, I'm talking and talking and talking. It's been a while since I've been here. Lots to cover on the show today too. We're fully loaded. Greg Billinger, founder of Capco, he joins ATL Prime Sports. We got Deshaun Tate, Mark Mancini, Chris Camello. They're all going to come through. And of course, talk Kobe Bryant and that whole impact. And it's really tragic situation for us here this week. And much more, all right here on ATL Prime Sports. So, hey guys, what's up, everyone? How y'all doing?
Doing well. Lots been on my plate lately. It's good to have you back. I got to see my child for the first time in an ultrasound on Monday. It was a pretty cool experience. I've never seen that before. I'm a first-time father, so this is going to be an experience. I may ask you and TC some questions, Stephanie.
Absolutely. I think it's the most exciting time of life, right, TC?
Oh, yeah, just don't do it on the air. just wait till off the air before you start asking questions. We might scare the rest of the audience from attempting to have children.
The Astros hired Dusty Baker today as a manager, TC, a one-year deal with the option for 21. Let's see how Baker handles the Heat in Houston. Another stat, Trae Young, an NBA All-Star starter. It's the first time since I think Dikembe Mutombo for the Atlanta Hawks received the most votes for a guard in the Eastern Conference. He wore his number 8 jersey as a tribute as well. We'll talk more about that. TC, what do you got on those two subjects?
Well, Dusty Baker, he becomes the oldest manager in the major leagues at 70. Last managed the Nats back in 2017. He ranks 15th all time in career wins with about 1,863 over 22 seasons. He's going to come in and bring, obviously, a ton of experience. He has a chance to take his 5th team to the playoffs. No manager's ever done that in history of Major League Baseball. 3-time NL Manager of the Year. He was serving as a special advisor to Giants CEO Larry Baer. Working in the baseball and business operations of the club. I think this is the perfect hire. He will handle everything in terms of the media and what's going on in the field, and have the Astros focused on the field and don't worry about the off the field stuff. I mean, this is a perfect hire. They gave him a 1-year contract, and it was a 2-year contract. Now it's a 1-year contract. Well, the 1-year option. And my thinking is, JJ, is that they're going to hire a new GM, and a new GM does not want to have him potentially for 2 years. If something really went wrong this season, they could go ahead and not bring him back next year. But this club has won 100 games the last 3 seasons. I think this is the perfect fit, and they'll be a contender again.
I think they will be from top to bottom. They still got some of their players that they brought up from the farm system, Springer, Altuve. They're still going to be there. They're still going to have a pretty good rotation. So you're right there. I think Dusty Baker is a great hire. I think he can come in. He is a veteran manager. He has taken teams to the playoffs, as you mentioned, a record 5. If he could take this team to the playoffs, which we all seem will happen. We haven't seen anything like this sign stealing scandal before, so he's going to have a lot of heat. But I think, again, he's the perfect man for the job. He handled the heat of Barry Bonds in San Francisco very well, and Bryce Harper in Washington. So I'm excited to see what he can do as a manager again. I think he'll be I think he'll be the oldest manager in a while. And at 7 years old, hey, guy can still get it done. So we'll go on, and I think we'll go on to the first topic. We'll throw it to Stephanie, and we'll bring in our first guest.
All right, JJ, TC, having a great night here, a fully loaded show, as we said. Of course, we're going to be talking about first and foremost. Sports world lost a legend on Sunday. Deshaun Tate, friend of the show, he's joining ATL Prime Sports tonight. Talk about the impact of Kobe Bryant's death. Deshaun, welcome back to the show. How are you tonight?
I'm outstanding. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's like I'm back at home all over again, finally get an opportunity to come back on with you guys. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, it's always great having you here. Always great. TC, JJ, we got our basketball expert in here trying to talk about really a tough topic. It's been tough for everybody all around. JJ, what are you thinking about Deshaun Tate? He's here. TC's here. JJ, what do you think about Kobe?
There's still a lump in my throat. I was just watching some coverage on the show, and it choked me up. Still, I'm in shock, not only for Kobe and his daughter, but the other 7 victims of terrible tragedy. What's come about in the last couple of days is the weather was terrible. It's still an unbelievable tragedy. Kobe bought the helicopter to have more time with family. So when he was working on his craft in the NBA, he could go directly from that, from family time to the game and back to family time. So it's something he had done thousands of times in his career and was very comfortable with doing. I'm sure they've flown in fog before, so this is just heartbreaking. Deshaun Tate joins us. Deshaun, I want to hear your thoughts on Kobe Bryant.
Well, it was obviously very heartbreaking. I want to send my condolences, obviously, to the entire, Bryant family and just to basketball fans like me all around the world. Like, this wasn't just a basketball thing or an American thing. I mean, he was a global figure. I know a lot of times we use the terms iconic and polarizing figure and great and all those things kind of loosely and probably far too often. And he's the definition of that. And even send the condolences to the families of the other 7 people that, unfortunately were killed in this horrifying incident. But, Kobe is the exact definition of what a competitor is. When I think about Kobe Bryant, I think about the level of competitive nature that he is. And I don't know, who will ever amount to be as great as Kobe Bryant, whether that's LeBron James. And I know it's definitely very young to put someone like Zion Williamson in that same conversation. But I will say enough to say that, there's not very many people from a competitive standpoint, maybe a talent standpoint, but a competitive standpoint that could match what he brought to the floor every single game. And I know that, he was the Michael Jordan of the younger generation. And I know that that's probably been overused and said quite a few times, but it kind of takes me back to my younger days when I didn't have the Nerf basketball set to hang on the back of my door and shut the door and kind of shoot the ball into the basket. So it reminds me of when I had to use a wire hanger and use the hook part of the hanger to hang on the back of my door and shut it, and then, stretch out the triangular shape of the hanger into a circular shape and ball up a pair of socks and shoot it in with a turnaround fadeaway. Kobe, it just kind of brought me back to those memories. And as unfortunate as it is, I think there's a lesson that we all can learn from Kobe Bryant, and that's just to be the ultimate competitor. And we all want to be perfectionists in what it is that we do in our everyday lives on a professional level, especially when you're talking about being a parent. And I think that that's something that we can learn because he brought it every single time.
You're listening to Deshaun Tate of 92.9 The Game. TC, you got something?
Well, I'll tell you what, Deshaun, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. I've been talking a long time. You guys really spoke about Kobe Bryant, the basketball player. Listening to the Remembering Kobe last night on TNT. These guys talked about Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, and it was all led by Ernie Johnson. Did a great job on there. Then you had the NBA logo, Jerry West joining them along with Dwayne Wade and company. Kenny Smith, they just did a great job talking about Kobe Bryant, the person, Kobe Bryant, the family man, Kobe Bryant, the father, Kobe Bryant, a leader on and off the court, what he meant to the NBA, not only in the United States, but worldwide, but also what Kobe Bryant meant to them and their careers. Kobe Bryant has had an impact not only on the players that he played with, but the current players today. JJ mentioned earlier about having an effect on Trae Young when they took the 24-second, the 8-second violation for the Hawks game down at downtown there in Atlanta. Just a fantastic job. Gordon Hayward of the Celtics talking about, hey, he got 60 on me. I guarded him as hard as I could. There was no way I wasn't going to, guard him as hard as I could because he wouldn't accept it. So, just he expected perfection, whatever he did. And, the thing about Kobe Bryant is he was only 41 years old. He had a long life ahead of him, and it was taken away. He also lost, as we know, his 13-year-old daughter, Gigi. We pray for her. We pray for him, and we pray for all the victims on the plane, and God bless them and their families. But he had a lot of life ahead of him, and he was really looking forward to it. He was the head basketball coach on Gigi's travel team. They were traveling to her game. So, not only were they talking about looking back, but they were looking forward to her life. And, one thing when we all pass, I know one day I'll pass. I want people saying about me, that I was a good father and that I was a good husband and et cetera, because that's the ultimate compliment you can get. And all these people are giving these compliments to Kobe Bryant like that. That he lived a good life, and he was a very helpful person. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so long-winded. Last week, or just a month ago, he just helped out people in a major traffic accident in his hometown in California. He got out of the car and started helping victims in a car accident. That's the type of person he is, a giving person and a caring person. And he showed that throughout his career in the NBA and his post-career.
You listen to Prime Time in the ATL Prime Sports Talk the way you like it. We're talking about Kobe Bryant and all that has occurred this week. We have Deshaun Tate from Sports Radio 92.9 The Game, TC, JJ, and myself, Stephanie Stallworth, ATL Traffic Lady. Guys, what other thoughts do you have about this? This is still unfolding, as we know. And so it's going to continue to be a topic for folks for the next long time to come. What do you guys think is going to be happening next?
Stephanie, if you don't mind, I think, the Lakers game was canceled last night with the Clippers. And, Charles Barkley had an excellent take on it. He said, they should have went ahead and just played this game. Kobe wanted them to play the game. It's going to be just as difficult for them to play Friday as it would have been yesterday. And I think basketball is therapeutic. And I know that Deshaun and JJ would agree with me that, basketball is therapeutic and these guys need to get on the court.
Yeah, Deshaun, I want to hear your thoughts on what you've heard around the league from other players. I know you're a little bit closer to the NBA and even college. You got your ears on the college level. What are some of the reactions and things that maybe the college level, some things that people haven't heard that you're hearing?
Well, I'm not sure that there's a ton of things that hasn't already kind of been said. I would imagine a lot of the guys feel the same way. And when I mentioned something about the competitive nature, I've heard Vince Carter mention some things, and about how they came in similar right around the same draft class year, and how they grew up playing AAU ball together and kind of playing against each other, facing each other, and definitely made it clear that that there was definitely not time. There was definitely times when they didn't see eye to eye and would trash talk each other quite a bit, and kind of almost out to make it seem like it wasn't always out of just what comes along with the game. Now, I'm not saying Vince hated the guy, but and one thing about Kobe is that Kobe was an arrogant guy. I mean, let's just be real about what it is. I mean, and not everything has to be made out to seem like it's the most positive thing in the world because the guy isn't here anymore. But I do actually take something like him being arrogant as a good thing, because he knew how good he was. And sometimes that's not always a bad thing, to know your worth and to know your value. And you're always supposed to go out there on the floor to believe that you are the best player on it. And I think that was the makeup of Kobe Bryant. I can't guarantee you that if I accomplished all the same things that Kobe did, and that if I had the same skill set that he did, that I wouldn't be arrogant too. He was a human being, but he was also like a person that had been here before, and he got the best out of his players. And Vince alluded to that. I talked to Trae Young and asked him a question in the post-game press conference the other night after playing the Wizards, and he just about his most memorable moment, or the things that the wisdom that he soaked up, and or his most recent conversation with Kobe. And he kind of broke down in tears a little bit and just kind of said he sees his game progressing, and also mentioned that Kobe let him know that he wants Trey to go out and continue to be a positive figure in the lives of many people who love the game of basketball. And Kobe Bryant, if I'm not mistaken, became an NBA All-Star, I think, in his second year of the NBA. And I think that's something that'll be really interesting with the All-Star weekend coming up next week. That him and Luka Doncic both can share. And so from that standpoint, even on the college level, I mean, there's a lot of guys on the college level that looked up to Kobe and idolize him and pattern and emulate their game after him. There's a guy over in the state of Michigan who's expected to be the next best thing since whomever, maybe since Zion or Kobe or LeBron or whomever, that I've heard multiple people say that this guy is the best basketball player that I've ever seen on the high school level in my life. Everybody who played high school included. And that came from some people who've seen quite a bit of basketball, and his name is Imani Bates. I had an opportunity to interview him around this time last year and asked him, who does he pattern his game and emulate his game after? And the person he said was Kobe Bryant. And that's not a surprise, but I think that just kind of goes to show exactly what type of basketball player he was. And I just hear the stories about what type of person he was. I never had the opportunity to meet Kobe Bryant, but I felt like I knew the guy. I felt like we were related, and that's the way that he kind of came off. And I've always kind of patterned my energy after Kobe, or my competitive nature after a Kobe Bryant, because one thing we can all learn is that he put everything into that, and his work ethic was second to none.
You're listening to DeJohn Tate here on ATL Prime Sports. TC, you got any further questions for Deshaun here?
Deshaun, thanks again for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. The last minute. You mentioned the All-Star game next week. They're definitely going to have a huge tribute to Kobe. And you also mentioned the basketball player from Michigan. I happened to see that on Twitter today. That to me is going to be a tremendous story in the future. If this kid keeps getting better and better, you see so many kids, taking their game and studying Kobe and watching Kobe and trying to emulate him. But there is one person who really tried to emulate him, and that is his daughter. Gigi, she had an understanding, Deshaun, and Kobe Bryant already told a couple of WNBA players that Gigi's going to be in the WNBA one day, and that she's going to play women's basketball for Gino at UConn. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the job that Kobe has done in the communities and things like that, but especially, with his daughter and being a spokesperson for women's basketball as he was trying to, after, retiring, put into place multiple different things and being a huge advocate for it. And I think a lot of that is because of his daughter. And I've seen some highlight tapes and some different things of, what his daughter can do on the basketball court. And at such a young age, I can't be the person to go and say she would have been this good or that good. I take Kobe's word for it because he has an eye for talent, obviously. But it's just a really, really sad and unfortunate set of circumstances. And I can't quite remember exactly. There was something I was going to say about the first part of what you had said as soon as you started out.
Oh, I apologize. I mentioned the first part about the All-Star game, and then the second part, I talked about his daughter and all that.
Yeah. As far as the All-Star goes, and I'm gonna be out there for All-Star weekend and having the opportunity to be there in Chicago, and I can only imagine the way that they're gonna memorialize Kobe Bryant and celebrate his life. And I know that there's some people that said that, maybe he should be the new logo, or maybe all, the NBA franchises and organizations should retire his number. And I'm not really sure which way they should go with that. I'm not against it either way. I definitely think something special should be done for Kobe, but whichever way they decide to go with that, I think is going to be a moment, that we can all cherish. And I'm just really happy to be able to have the opportunity to be a part of it and pick some brains of some NBA players that have some memories about Kobe. And I'm kind of still kind of heartbroken by the whole situation, if I'm just being honest with you, because you guys know me. I don't know a whole lot about a whole lot, but I know basketball. If we're talking 94 feet long, 50 feet wide, 22 feet and 1/3 inches out on the perimeter, and 10 feet tall on the basket, I know it. Now, you might ask me what's 2 + 2. I might tell you 22. I don't know. So I'm not the greatest in math and all these other things, but I know basketball. So when you take somebody like that and you start thinking about how it's affected people's lives, I've been watching this game and breaking it down every single day. I live this game called basketball, and it's been that way for the last 25 years since I was 10 years old, and he's played a huge part of my life in that. And I'm just happy to be able to have the opportunity to say that I've seen some of the greats that has ever picked up this basketball. We see things Zion Williamson is doing that we've never seen nobody else do. Michael Jordan do things that we've never seen nobody else do. LeBron James, obviously in that conversation. Certainly Kobe Bryant is right there, and I'm just happy that I had an opportunity to, or that he graced us with someone like me having the opportunity to, watch him for all the years do some of the special things that he's done.
You listen to ATL Prime Sports. That's basketball insider Deshaun Tate, Sports Radio 92.9 Game, Atlanta, Georgia, and amongst other wonderful sports things. And yeah, he's a true insider in basketball. It's great to have you here with us again, Deshaun. I'm from Philly, right? So I know a little about Kobe, but I know some people who met him. So I'm going to share 2 quick little stories off Facebook. 2 friends I grew up with that they played high school basketball and college basketball. They were never on the pro level, but one's name is Hugh Dixon, and again, we're from Philly. So he said, in 1992, I was hired to run the aquatics program at the Jewish Community Center in Wynwood, Pennsylvania. Former 76er Joe Bryant worked in the gym. We became friends, and he asked me to work out his son. His 13-year-old son was my height already at 6'3", and his skill level and work ethic was better than anyone I'd ever seen. I had no idea he'd become one of the greatest players ever, but I knew he'd be good. Kobe was what happens when God-given talent is mixed with dogged determination to be great. He said, rest in peace, Mamba. And then another good friend of mine who lives down here also, his name is Lamont Farrell, and he was a legend in his own right in high school and college, but never did the pros. But he said, words cannot explain. This is Sunday night, how I'm feeling right now. It's like a dream. Growing up in Philly, Kobe played high school ball a few miles from my house. His dad, Joe Jellybean Bryant, was my coach and teammate in the Charles Baker League. He would bring Kobe to some games and practices. Who knew that skinny little kid would grow up to be one of the best of all time? I'm proud and honored to share the all-time leading scores in Pennsylvania list with him. He will be missed. My sincere condolences go out to his wife and children and the others who perished in this terrible accident. RIP number 8, number 24, hashtag GOAT, Pennsylvania 2,000 point scorers. So I never met Kobe, but Philly loved Kobe. And I know some people who have met him. I just wanted to share some of those little stories. You guys have any final words? I'm sure we'll be talking more about it in future shows. Anything further, JJ, TC, or Deshaun?
I'm good. I'm actually anxious to hear some of our callers. I know they've been holding on the line for a little bit. We'll go to a couple callers real quick. Steph, I'll let you do your thing. I'll let you host.
All right. How about Wayne?
I want to say this just real quick. I appreciate you guys, as I always do, for you guys to for having me on. And this is just a prime example that no matter how much money you have, all that other stuff, it could be taken away so easily. I just hope that everybody, cherishes their lives to the fullest. And again, I appreciate you guys for having me at Tate's Take Hoops on the Twitter, TATESTAKEHOOPS, where basketball lives. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Deshaun.
Tate, thank you so much. We love you. We'll see you back here again soon.
Thanks,
Love you,
Deshaun.
thank you.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, good having you.
Thank you very much.
Deshaun Tate, Sports Radio, 92.9 The Game, at Tate's Take Sports. You have to check him out. He's a basketball insider. Another whole topic, March Madness coming up. He's going to be our college hoops expert coming in here soon, too. We did have, Wayne from Memphis? Wayne, are you on the show? Hey. Haven't talked to you in a long time. Is Wayne with us?
Yeah, we got Lou as well, I think. Lou,
Lou, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time either. I've been away. I'm so sorry. Hey, Lou,
I was wondering what happened to you, Stephanie. Yeah. I was wondering what happened to you, but
decade.
Yeah, right. Well,
go ahead, Lou.
Well, yeah. Anyway, I think I think we're all just as shocked as everybody else is who has followed Kobe over the last 20 years and whatnot. I mean, the way I found out about it, though, I didn't really believe it at first because it was coming from a source that isn't really associated with news and whatnot. So I didn't believe when I first heard, but when I got out of the car and we hit on Fox News, then I believed it. And just a shame, how it happened. And his young daughter was in the helicopter as well, and we were just all devastated by it. Even my parents, who aren't even really basketball fans, were even devastated by this. Because no matter if you're an NBA fan or not, pretty much 90% of the world knows who Kobe Bryant, was.
Lou, I was listening to Fox. I was actually listening to the Michigan State Minnesota game, and I had just sat down. I saw it scroll across the screen. Tim Brando was doing the play-by-play with Jim Jackson. As the color commentator. Jim Jackson went to Ohio State. His college ball was there, but he played with Kobe Bryant for a few years. And I just sat there and thought how difficult it is for him to be able to do color commentary for this college game, knowing that his friend and teammate just passed away, and Tim Brando just said it on the air. And when I listen to Tim Brando, and he's a friend of the show, he's been on the show before, and I listen to Jim Jackson, you wouldn't have known it. They were true professionals from the beginning of the broadcast to the end of the broadcast. And I don't, that to me is really just stunning. And it shows that you're a real professional broadcaster, that, you know, you can take the feelings aside, and you're hurt, but you got a job to do. And then when the broadcast is over, you can take it from there. And I thought that was amazing. And, you know, Lou, that's what it's all about. That's why we're here. You know, we're talking about the great Kobe Bryant. I just want to thank you for calling in this evening and talking about him, because, you know, he's meant a lot to the NBA, not only the United States, but all the world.
You know, the thing is that in the 4 years I've been doing, you know, calling the shows and doing my own show nationally, I don't think I've ever covered something that's been more saddened than this.
Yeah, we never have either. I never have, and I know JJ hasn't either.
No, this was one of the tougher things. The only thing I can think of, those close losing their lives suddenly, was Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I'll say one more thing, though. I don't think, you know, I know this may sound selfish, but I don't think they should have called off the game last night. You know, because I think Kobe would have wanted the game to play to preserve his memory. I'm like, cancel the game? No, because, you know, because life has to go on, and, you know, you got stuff to do. So, you know, I think maybe they should have played in respect.
I think Kobe wanted the game to be played personally. Myself.
Oh yeah. Because I had a similar situation happen just a few months ago. My aunt passed away, and well, we knew it was going to happen, though. I mean, there was no question about that. But as you know, I do a Saturday evening show. The only problem was that week, you know, the arrangements were being made at a funeral, and I didn't know what time I was going to get back, you know, in time to do the show, so I had to go that week. But the next week I came right back, because sometimes the best medicine in the world is to get back to the routine and do what you do best.
Yeah. No, Lou, I agree with you 110%. Lou, we got another guest coming on, and we're going to try and get Wayne in right behind you. Go ahead and shout out your show.
Whoops, sorry. Good night.
Go ahead. I was going to say you can shout out his show. We I think we may have Wayne back on the line.
Got Wayne back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Wayne. Welcome back.
Hey, can you hear me? All right. Yeah, I know that y'all are talking a lot about the Kobe Bryant situation, and that's something that's going to be painful and talked about for a really long time, not only given his sports status, but also his status as, you know, just a celebrity in general.
Yeah, unbelievable. I'm still in shock that this is even happening. I mean, I honestly, it's not going to hit me honestly until probably 2 or 3 days from now, when all this is calmed down and you stop seeing the scroll across the bottom of the screen. That's when it'll probably really set in.
Right. Well, you know, the type of thing that I do for a living is I work in the aviation industry, and there's some situations that I know about this type of accident or crash that happens, and we can save that for another day farther down the road. But kind of getting into the details of that was one way that I was able to, you know, cope with the whole situation.
It's a terrible situation, period.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
With being in aviation, you may have shed some insight. Have you heard about what actually happened? Was there anything mechanical wrong? I haven't heard anything except for just basically the fog was the main issue. But
yeah, the fog was the main issue, and the fact that the distance between the ground and the fog ceiling got smaller as they got closer to those mountains and into that valley. And so there was a lot less area to operate in without getting into the clouds. And the way that a helicopter operates in a hover or a slow speed situation, you can drift very easily and lose your orientation to what the horizon is, or what, you know, the ground. And it was probably a controlled flight into terrain that was caused by the fact that the pilot was disoriented because of the fog. And it looked like they were trying to make a 180 turn to go back, because the pilot realized he was in a really bad, perilous situation.
Man, that's terrible. That is
And,
terrible.
and Wayne, this was a very experienced pilot. I mean, he's
Yes.
flown Kobe Bryant many, many times. So, you know, I did notice the local authorities, the sheriff and all that, their pilots or their helicopters were grounded. They didn't allow their pilots to get up in a helicopter. And, you know, people are going, I'm not going to do it, but you'll hear people out there second guessing whether he should have been up there at all. And I'm not going to do that because I'm not an aviation professional, nor am I going to pretend to be. So, but you've already heard a lot of people do that. And if you don't have experience in aviation and you're not a pilot, you shouldn't comment on it.
Well, the people who gave him the clearance to fly would have been the people called a dispatcher, and they would have been the ones to make the call and let the pilot know, you know, you can fly in this situation, but it's going to be what's called a visual flight rules instead of an instrument flight rule because of the fog. And to fly that low, and
Wayne, can you explain the difference between the visual and the other for us, please?
Well, in a visual flight rule, you're basically flying based on what you can see. And, you know, he was taking his cues on which direction to go based on the freeways and the highways that were below him. And if you hear the radio conversation between the pilot and the people that were controlling him, they were telling him to hold in this situation. He'd say, can I turn now onto this freeway and follow this one? And they give him the okay to do that. An instrument flight rule would have given him bearings in specific path to fly, and it would have probably been above that terrain and above that fog. But to file an instrument flight rules plan takes a long time. You have to specifically say where you're going, have your waypoint set up, and it takes a long time to get those approved. Visual flight rules, you can pretty much jump in, let them know where you're going, and they will give you what's called a flight following and tell you where you're at specifically and what to follow and which direction to go. And it's something you can do much quicker. And that's probably why they went with the visual flight rule instead of the instrument.
Wow. Wayne, that's some good insight for folks wondering what has been going on for that. Thank you for calling in the show. I'm just so happy to talk to you again. I haven't talked to you since last year,
right.
So we'll look forward to
you know,
hearing from you again next week.
I've been watching your YouTube stuff there, so I'm in some way staying in touch with you. And the score right now from
Wayne is my only subscriber or follower or whatever on YouTube, my YouTube channel, ATL. So thank you, Wayne.
Sometimes it's worth it just to hear the music you play in the car.
Exactly. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, listen, y'all have a good evening. All right.
Thanks. You too, Wayne. Appreciate you calling the show. It's friend of the show, Wayne from Memphis. Listen, we have a special guest joining ATL Prime Sports this evening. It's Greg Billinger. Greg played football under Bobby Johnson at Vanderbilt, and he's now the founder of Capco. Greg, welcome to ATL Prime Sports. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Greg, good to have you on, my friend. Let's talk about Capco. What is Capco?
So when you think of Capco, kind of think of like an Uber and a Lyft type of platform, but it's relative to photography and videography. So basically, I kind of got into the whole camera game by filming one of my cousin's like travel basketball games, which is like sort of like high school and middle school basketball. And he wanted the footage. His coach wanted the footage. The other team wanted the footage. So basically, like I know a lot of parents, specifically like around Atlanta, but in different states as well, that have kids from third grade all the way up to high school that play sports. So like they call me every week to have different basketball games filmed. And they also film games themselves, and they want me to edit footage. So that's basically what Capco is. It's a platform where people can contact me to have things edited or have things filmed in different parts of the country.
Listening to Greg Billinger right here on ATL Prime Sports. Good friend of mine, played high school ball with him. Greg, who needs Capco?
I'll say any parent that has a kid that plays and is, really serious about, improving their game, or any coach that has like a team that they coach for, different teams. Again, if they're an AAU coach or director, they have different teams underneath their organization. Footage is good for anyone, especially if you're trying to watch full games, or if you're just trying to get footage to send to coaches at a later date. So yeah, those are the two different parties that can profit off of, using Capco in terms of like, getting that footage. And also in different areas as well, we're also looking for people that can film games for us, so we can pay them per game. Going back to the Uber Lyft platform, they can get paid per game that they have in their areas, which will soon all be visible on my new website and my new app. But as of right now, everything is just on my YouTube channel in terms of like all the content that we build.
Perfect. How can our listeners book you / contact you?
So basically right now, again, my new website, my new app is about to come out. So I'm kind of like building these relationships peer-to-peer as I have been. So if they want to contact me directly, they can either text or call. And I'll say text first because I'll always get to a text message pretty fast if I'm on the phone. But they can text or call 706-998-8616, or they can email us at capturecorporation@gmail.com. And that's capture with a CAPSURE corporation@gmail.com. They can do one of those three things.
Greg, man, well, it's great to have you on. It's good to hear from you again. I've worked with Greg at the beginning of Capco. Did a couple games for him. I'm really interested in seeing this thing grow. So, folks, please give Greg Billinger your business. He'll film your kids' basketball games, edit up the footage, get it out to the internet, get it out on YouTube, get it in front of college recruiters. You can do whatever you want with that footage. You can keep it for memories. You can make scrapbooks with it. Really lots of good stuff. I'm proud to call you a friend, Greg. Shout out that number and that website one more time, then we'll let you go.
Well, yeah, my phone number, again, is a direct line. Text or call if you're a parent or a coach that has games that need to be edited, or if you're a parent or coach that has AAU games that you want to have filmed this 2020 AAU basketball season. That number is 706-998-8616, or you can email capturecorporation@gmail.com, which is CAPSURE corporation@gmail.com.
All right, thank you so much. We've had a great time here talking with Greg Billinger, founder of Capco. So yeah, all the kids are into those sports and they all need film. Even when my son was playing football, these recruiters were calling and saying, "Oh, where's this film?" I'm like, okay. So it's gonna be a great service. Thank you for that. Hey guys, this is ATL Prime Sports. We are going to talk Super Bowl 54 because it's right upon us now. Whether you're watching for the commercials or because you love the game, everyone's going to be paying close attention. I'm just going to say this before I toss to you guys. The commercial I'm waiting to see again, which I saw a preview of, is the one where unfortunately we lose Mr. Peanut. Because I met Mr. Peanut. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Planters Peanut guy. And he's in the commercial. I met him in the Peanut Mobile went around. So I'll post that picture on our Twitter. So you can see that a few years back. But I'm looking for commercials and the food and whatever happens during the game. We'll love that part too. And I guess the halftime show. TCJJ, what are some of the major storylines you're looking at and look forward to this?
Well, the major storyline to me is on the offensive side of the ball for each team. You've got two great quarterbacks in this game. Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously San Francisco, they love to run the football, and a lot has been made that Garoppolo's not throwing the ball a lot. And what's he going to do if they have to put the game in his hands? Look, he did a great job all this season. He threw more touchdown passes than the Kansas City quarterback. Mahomes. Just what a fantastic job he did. In the fourth quarter, he had one of the highest quarterback ratings in the NFL. You see what he did in the Saints game in New Orleans. He took the team on his shoulders and took them for a big win there, which helped them propel to get home field advantage. Then, of course, you look at Mahomes. We haven't seen I know I haven't seen anything like this, and I know JJ hasn't seen anything like this because I'm older than him. So I haven't seen anything the way he's able to make plays with his feet and still look down the field and throw the ball in the way they spread teams out with their speed. It's just phenomenal. It's two different offenses. Kansas City's pass happy. They want to spread you out. And then San Francisco, they want to run the ball down your throat. But each team has a great tight end in Kelsey and for Kansas City, and then the great tight end for San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, golly, I mean, JJ, these guys.
Clearly the battle for the best tight end in the NFL, TC.
It is. I mean, you could take one or the other. It doesn't matter. And to me, that's the fascinating storyline of the game.
Yeah, no, to me, it really is. That's one of my number one storylines. It's Travis Kelce, George Kittle. Travis Kelce over 1,200 yards on the season, 97 receptions, 5 touchdowns. Kittle, regular season, very similar numbers, 12 less receptions, couple hundred, about 150, 250 less yards, but he did miss a couple games. He also had 5 TDs. Here's the difference. Travis Kelce's had 3 TDs in the postseason. That's huge. He's had a humongous impact on the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he continues to have that impact on Sunday. I think he outperforms George Kittle.
You know what, JJ, can I say something? You know what both these tight ends do really well? And I know we talked about this off the air. They do that tight end screen delay really well, where they block on the line of scrimmage, and then they release at the last second, and each quarterback gets them the ball, and they not only break the first tackle, they break the next one, and poof, they're downfield. Yep, you and I talked about that. We couldn't believe how similar they are.
They're very similar tight ends, both very physical at the line of scrimmage. They can run back. They can pass block when they need to, when they don't go out for pass routes. When they go over the middle, they catch the ball efficiently on third down. This is a battle for the best tight end. Whoever wins this game, whoever has the better stats, may actually win the game. That's how impactful both players are. Another storyline I got for you, I'm going to call them the Legion. Remember the Legion of Boom? Well, you already mentioned it. Kansas City is the Legion of Zoom. Some are calling it like the fastest wide receivers in the league.
Basketball on grass.
It's 21 miles an hour for Mecole Hardman. You got Hill, Hardman, Watkins, Robinson, and Byron Pringle, who are all making big plays downfield, extending plays. You mentioned it earlier. It's unbelievable. This is going to be an exciting matchup in this game. Can Richard Sherman lock these receivers down by himself? He's going to have to rely on his safety. He's going to have to rely on his help over top. And we're going to have to see how well Bosa gets after the quarterback.
That's right, JJ. That's right. I'm glad you mentioned that. The front four, to me, like you just said, Bosa, I'm so glad you mentioned his name. It's JJ. Can the San Francisco front four get to him? Because if they can get to Mahomes, they can win the game. If they can't, if they got to start bringing extra, they're in big trouble. And Sherman's not going to be able to cover them unless the front four can get to him. You're spot on about that. And if you don't mind, I got one more storyline, and it's Shanahan, real quick, if I may say. You know, he's the one. He was the one that was the play caller up 28-3 in the Super Bowl. And then at the end, if Falcons would have just most likely ran the football, they would have been Super Bowl champions. Well, I think this time, if San Francisco's in this situation, Shanahan's going to run the football. There was actually lines out there, JJ, betting whether he would do it or not. You and I were cracking up off the air about that.
The prop bets, absolutely. They're absolutely hilarious. Actually, just a quick betting tip for you guys out there. There is a plus 10,000 on the odds. So $1 will win you 100. $10 will win you 1,000. 100 wins you. You got it. $10,000. If Mecole Hardman returns a punt or a kickoff for a touchdown, folks, put $1 on it. That might be an easy $100 for you. It's a loss of $1 if you don't.
Hey, JJ, where did he go to school? Mecole Hardman. What? Say that again.
Go.
I set you up. I knew you knew that. And I knew you'd throw the number odds out there. I set you up with that with Shanahan. You got a lot of disgruntled Falcon fans who are probably not rooting for San Francisco because Shanahan is the coach. Would you be one of those disgruntled Falcon fans not rooting for Frisco?
You know me, I'm typically an NFC guy, and honestly, I don't have any ill will towards Shanahan. He had one foot out the door. He made a bad call on second and 11, and that made the difference in the game, absolutely. But there's still
the holding didn't help on that drive neither.
The holding. Matt Ryan holds onto the football, the drive prior. Things happen for a reason. I'm actually kind of pulling for Shanahan, but I'm also pulling for Andy Reid. I've never been so torn in a Super Bowl. Usually I lean towards the NFC, but I have a sweet spot in my heart for Andy Reid, and I'll tell you why. It's because of that junior punt, pass, and kick competition football. Years old. That thing is pure gold. So
it is. He was wearing that old school Rams uniform. You believe that?
It was great. It's still, You can go Google it, go Andy Reid, punt, pass, and kick. It'll be the first photo that pops up.
Was that in the old LA Coliseum where they had that? I think it was.
I think it was. It looks like it. I'm not 100% on that one, but
I'm almost certain.
We got a couple callers. We got a couple more thoughts we got to get to.
You know what, JJ, before we do it, I actually am going to go for Kansas City just because they haven't won the Super Bowl in 50 years. San Francisco's won 5. My wife's family, they're all Pittsburgh fans. They don't want them getting number 6, so I'll just toe in line and stay with that.
I'm okay with that. Personally, if we're picking winners here, I'm going to go with Kansas City. I think the big playability is too much. I don't think.
I'm picking San Francisco. Their defense is better. But I'm towing the line with a finger.
Too. If I'm picking a game, I'm picking Kansas City. I've been torn on it. I'm going Pat Mahomes. I'm going Andy Reid's play calling ability. I think Andy Reid wants it more than anybody else in the league. I think he wants that Lombardi trophy, so I think he's going to get it. Kansas City Chiefs. Steph, wrap us up, and let's get to our final guests.
All right, go Chiefs. I say Chiefs. Let's get to say hi to Mark Mancini. He's joining ATL Prime Sports from behind the board. Of course, Mark puts this whole umbrella up with all of our shows. Mark, you on with us tonight?
Yeah, I'm here, and I'll tell you, when I think of this show, I think of Gone with the Wind. I think of the Atlanta Braves, the Falcons, the Hawks. This show is sweeping the nation, and with you three running it and Brett there, man, it is in good hands in the stables with this thing. I am so blessed.
Thank you, Mark. We're blessed too. This is Mark Mancini. He's for the Stables Network, the founder, I guess we call you the founder of the Stables Network, Mark?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a huge puzzle here, and I'm just a piece of it. The big man is definitely driving this thing.
Absolutely. So it's a beautiful thing. We've enjoyed working with you and all of that. Guys, what do you have for Mark tonight?
Mark, I'm sorry, JJ. Go ahead. I apologize.
We're going to ask the same thing. So we could ask it together if we want.
Well, so, you know what? I mean, I was going to say,
you're on the West Coast, Mark.
Yeah, you're on the West Coast. You're from Los Angeles. Chris Camello is going to be coming in. We'll all have this chat. We'll have another roundtable regarding Kobe Bryant. And, Mark, it's just got to be, I can't imagine what the people of Los Angeles are going through. This is as big as anything that I can recall in a long time in terms of someone, of Kobe's stature passing away and having a profound effect, not only in the United States, but in China and all over the world.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, and I'm in Woodland Hills. The next city over is Calabasas, so it's really not too far from where I live that copter went down. But when I look at Kobe, you don't have to like teams to be a big fan of teams to really realize what the players mean to these teams. And I had a chance years ago to interview Kobe, And when I look at Kobe, when I look at LeBron, when I look at guys like Tom Brady or Tiger Woods, these guys are they're given a gift at an early age, and it's a relentless pursuit of perfection. They will do whatever it takes to cross that line. They block out the naysayers. When you look at people today, if you look at 20 people, 18 have that give up attitude. They just don't push themselves. And when I look at the 2%, they'll do whatever it takes to get by there. And they're just driven. And having the big man in your life, it just seems nothing else seems to matter. When I look at this whole story here, and I got, a daughter and I got a couple granddaughters, and, you think of, them, and now you look at Vanessa with the other three, and your heart pours. And I know, Todd, you were part of a show Monday where it was just tough to really tell on that show to what this guy means. And I just couldn't get through the show because it was so tough with Kobe Bryant at an early age. And I know, Stephanie's from Philadelphia, and to see this guy, the will, the drive, and, we can all have, confidence and determination, but what separates us is the work ethic, and the work ethic that this guy brought to the table was just unbelievable.
Well, there's no doubt about it, Mark. There's no doubt about it. We all know about his the greatness he is in basketball, and I spoke earlier about what a good person that he's become, not only on the court but off the court with his wife and his kids, and coaching now, and really enjoying retirement, not missing basketball at all. And they were on their way to coach his daughter's 13-year-old travel basketball team. And, he talked about her and how good she was going to be, that she was going to be in the WNBA one day. And, life is just not fair. I mean, he's 41 years old. Gigi was 13. All those other people on the helicopter, this is just not right. It's not right, is it, JJ? It's just so wrong, and
it's not
fair.
We're
all hurt. We're just unhurt, my friend.
It doesn't seem fair. He was one of my favorite players. Growing up, I actually disliked him because he was with Shaquille O'Neal, and they were just too good. They beat my Pacers up. They beat my Hawks up. I had no chance of winning against that team, I felt like, so I disliked him. Then I realized how much of a champion Kobe Bryant is when he won his first one without Shaquille O'Neal. And I go, man, this guy's so good. He said, you know what, I'm going to do it without him, and I'm going to prove to everybody that I can. And he did it one more time. So he's a pure champion. His work ethic is something that I actually admire, that I actually pursue. It's unbelievable. All the memories, 81 points, 60 on his last night. And the way he played the last 3.5 minutes of that 60-point night, his last game, is exactly how Kobe Bryant played every single minute of every single game prior to that. And it was so fun to watch. Mark, I'm jealous you got to cover him. Mark, it's good to have you back. Any final thoughts for Mark before we go to our next guest before the end of the show, Chris Camillo?
Well, when I look at what he came out of, what he showed me is coming out of high school, anything's possible. He didn't go to college, and he just pushed himself to learn how to play the piano, learn Spanish. I mean, the accolades go on. And, nothing to take away from Michael Jordan, and a lot of people put him on a pedestal. But I look at two guys in the last year that I look at and I say, man, that is amazing. Kawhi Leonard winning a championship for a whole country, Canada, that he's like a messiah there. And then the outpouring of Kobe Bryant, just to have the music industry embrace him in the basketball world, touch the soccer world in Italy and in Manchester and some of these other things. Learn the piano. It's just amazing. And if he didn't know something, he wanted to tap into the industry, which was Apple or something else, just to absorb it like a sponge. I think it's remarkable, and I think this city is going to really see the light. I mean, we've lost some superstars over the years, and when you look at Prince and Michael Jackson, I might put this guy above that because this guy just epitoed the world.
He
Hey
did.
guys, let's bring in our another guest. Can we bring him together, Chris, with you all together? We just have this conversation together. Chris Camello's Corner podcast, on with us also this evening. Chris, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it. And Todd, I'm glad to hear that you're doing a lot better. And JJ, it's good to hear from you again. And Mark, I saw you last at the it was a Clipper game. I think it was like Clippers Cavs, I think it was Clippers Cavs or Clippers Magic. We last ran into each other. So definitely great to see you guys. Wish under better circumstances. But I really appreciate you guys having me on this evening. It's been a rough couple of days, to say the least.
Chris, you're on the West Coast, Camello's Corner podcast. Chris Camello joining us. We just asked the same question to Mark. What's the take? You guys are closer. What's the impact on you, and what's the weather like over there with the Kobe Bryant situation?
I think it's for me, it's been devastation. The word that I used, and I haven't used this word a lot in my life, when it comes to tragedy, was broken. I felt, Sunday morning, waking up, hanging out, and then all of a sudden you hear this news that a guy that you watched for 20 years who gave us so many incredible memories and was going to continue to provide great memories and just starting the second aspect of his life in a lot of ways. It was just absolutely tragic. And, I felt completely broken. I was shocked. I was devastated. And, when more news kept pouring in that his daughter was also in the helicopter in the crash, I mean, it was horrible because it was Gigi. Keep this in mind. It was Gigi who had basically reinvigorated Kobe's love for basketball, because if you recall, the last couple of years, Kobe didn't show up to many games unless, of course, he was being acknowledged for something or there was a statue unveiling. Kobe was busy basically starting his second career as a creative genius and, launching children's books and creating documentaries and just continuing to create. Basketball was the furthest thing from his mind. It was his second business and his family. That was his focus. But the two began to overlap, and Gigi kind of reinvigorated because she's so passionate about the game and wanted, I think, carry that torch from her dad, and was a big NBA fan, watched League Pass. She kind of got Kobe reinvigorated, and I think that's the best word to use. She got him energetic about the Lakers, about the NBA, and now he's seeing the game, and I heard this, he's seeing the game through her eyes. And I think he was finding that balance between family life, between basketball, and everything else going on in his life. And it was just so sad that was taken away, especially after LeBron had passed him Saturday night in Philadelphia for third on the all-time scoring list. And Kobe sends out that tweet, and it was a historic moment, for LeBron and for the Laker organization as well. But I just couldn't believe the timing of everything. It was absolutely stunning to me. And, I'm going to let you guys fill in a sec, but my earliest memories of watching basketball were watching Kobe. I started watching basketball in 96, 97. I was in the first grade. And, I used to hate watching Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls, wrap up another championship and watching Kobe and those air balls in Utah. But, every year as I got older, I got to appreciate Kobe, became a huge Laker fan, got to see the 3 championships, all of those great battles with Sacramento and Portland, and then, with the San Antonio Spurs, and watching, Kobe put up 12 threes in a game or 48 points in a closeout game in Sacramento. I mean, I could list them all day long. And I got to see that as a young kid, and then just see the evolution of him as a basketball player and as a person, and overcome all the hurdles he had to overcome with Shaquille O'Neal, with Phil Jackson, with the front office. The sexual assault case in 2003, having to overcome that and repair his image and repair his marriage and, become a father, and, watching him love his family as much as he did. I mean, at his core, he was a family man. It's incredible to see that evolution and devastating to see that all taken away on January 26th.
Unbelievable.
Chris, you guys are all so much younger than me. When I think of the Lakers, I go back before that. I go back to Magic Johnson in his rookie year. So, you know, it's a great franchise. You and I always hashtag Lake Show together on Twitter. And, you know, I just want to thank you for thanking me about trying, you know, myself starting to feel better. I appreciate that. And I want to thank you for coming on. I knew this was going to be tough for you, and I really appreciate that. And I know JJ and Stephanie do too. Did you get a chance to watch Remembering Kobe yesterday on TNT? And if you did, what'd you think of that quickly? We have about 2 minutes.
It was unbelievably sad. It was great that Shaq, who had been, you know, Shaq's been going through a lot in his personal life the last few months, losing his sister as well. And obviously he's gone through a tremendous amount of loss in his life. But seeing him muster the strength to talk about someone he considered to be a little brother. And, you know, he really did love Kobe through all the BS through the years that, oh, Shaq and Kobe hated each other. At his core, he loved Kobe like a brother, and Jerry West loved Kobe like a son. And hearing those two emotionally share intimate stories about their relationships with Kobe was unbelievable. And it was difficult to watch, but incredibly insightful and definitely inspiring as well.
Still just tragedy. It's still, like I said, it hasn't fully hit me yet. Mark, Chris, thank you guys both for. I'm going to throw it to Stephanie and let her wrap us up and get us out of here.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Mark, Chris. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Greg Billinger for coming on a little bit earlier. Wayne, Lou, all friends of the show. Deshaun Tate Sports. And of course, TC, JJ. Love you guys. Glad we're back here in the new year doing our thing again, and looking forward to next week and what we'll be talking. We'll probably be talking about Super Bowl winners and all of that fun stuff. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting time. Some highs with the Super Bowl and some lows with Kobe. I'm still coping with that. TC, what do you think?
Well, you know, the hardest part is coming with the funeral of Kobe.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, the hardest part will be for his family, because that's when, you know, people try to give them space and her, you know, her and the kids are going to have a difficult time. Vanessa and the kids are going to have a difficult time, because that's when it all really sinks in. And my prayers go out to, once again, the Bryant family and all the families that were on the helicopter, and God bless them all. And I want to thank all our guests and thank our callers, and thank you guys. And I really enjoyed the show this evening, and God bless all of you.
God bless everybody. JJ?
Deepest condolences to all the victims. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Mark, any final thoughts on Kobe Bryant?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, and I think Todd sized it up when everybody goes away and, you know, and then they're left alone. That's when you really, you know, pull the strings to get that higher power. And I'm sure, you know, they all know that, and they'll get a lot of, you know, people coming to them and everything. But, you know, I think Gigi and Kobe are up there now, and they got a hand on them from up above. So that's the way I look at it. And, you know, we'll be up there, you know, someday. And, you know, when your time comes, it's just, you know, I'm not going to second guess the big guy pulling the ticket. So, you know, the time was, and God's got plans for him up there. And maybe there's a Mamba, you know, mission up there. So that's the way I look at it.
There you go.
Gotta look at the positive. Steph, wrap us up.
All right, guys, it's ATL Prime Sports. Thanks, everyone, for listening and participating in the show. For the Stables Network, JJ, TC, Mark Mancini, I'm Stephanie Stallworth, ATL Traffic Lady. We'll see y'all this time next week. Bye, guys.
Get you one.
Bye.
Get you one.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, callers.